The night before my court appearance to testify against an abusive ex, my neighbor called the police with a fake noise complaint hoping I'd be arrested and miss the trial. Instead, the officers realized quickly what was happening, arrested him for filing a false report, and escorted me to court personally. When I won my case, word got around fast and his family disowned him for bringing shame on all of them. I never thought my quiet little apartment in Canton, Ohio, would become the center of a personal war. But last year, that's exactly what happened. I was preparing to testify against my ex-boyfriend, Corey, the man who had broken my wrist, given me a concussion, and made my life hell for 2 years. For the longest time, I was too scared to come forward. Too scared he'd find out and finish what he started. But I finally gathered my courage. I reported him. Pressed charges. I had evidence. Hospital records, photos, even a voicemail where he threatened to put me in the ground if I ever talked to the cops. The final court date was set for a Monday morning. I was the star witness. Without my testimony, Corey could walk. And someone knew that. Someone who decided to try and stop me. That someone was my neighbor, Ray. When I moved into the apartment a year before the trial, Ray was just a guy I passed in the hallway. Mid-40s, rough-looking, beard that was always half-grown in. Worked odd construction jobs. Smelled like motor oil and cigarettes. At first, he seemed harmless. He'd nod when we crossed paths. Once or twice, he offered to carry my grocery bags. I politely declined. I'd learned the hard way about men who thought being nice meant they were owed something. After a few weeks, his friendly nods turned into comments. "You got a man helping you out with that?" he asked when I was struggling with a heavy box. "No, I'm fine," I said. "Bet you could use one," he replied with a wink. I shrugged it off. But he kept pushing. One evening, he cornered me near the mailboxes. "Let me take you out sometime. Just a burger or something." "No, thank you," I said, firm but polite. That was the moment it flipped. His whole face changed. He scowled. "Women like you think you're too good. Just wait. Life's gonna humble you." From then on, he was no longer a neighbor. He was a problem. It started small. Passive-aggressive comments when I passed by. "Still single, huh? Shocking." Then little accidents. Packages I ordered went missing. Once, my car windshield wiper was snapped clean off overnight. I suspected Ray but had no proof. I filed a report with the landlord, who basically shrugged. "Unless you see him doing it, there's not much we can do." When Corey's court date got close, I started staying with friends a lot. I kept my routine unpredictable. I didn't want Corey, or anyone, knowing where I'd be at any given time. But I had to be home the night before the trial. I needed my clothes, my paperwork, my prepared statement. That's when Ray made his move. That Sunday night, my best friend Sierra came over to help me stay calm. She brought takeout and her pit bull, Duke, who made me feel safer than any security system. We spent the evening reviewing my notes and watching reruns to distract ourselves. No music. No shouting. Just quiet preparation. Around 9:30 p.m. There was a loud knock at the door. 2 police officers stood there. "Ma'am, we received a report of loud yelling and possible violence from this apartment," one of them said. "What?" I was so stunned I could barely speak. "There's no yelling. It's just us." Sierra backed me up. "We've been sitting here all night. You can see, it's calm in here." They looked around. The living room was spotless. TV playing quietly. Duke wagging his tail. Nothing out of place. Then I noticed movement in the hallway. Ray. Arms crossed. That same smug look he always had when he thought he was winning. And I understood. He'd called the cops. He wanted me arrested or detained so I couldn't show up in court. Without me, Corey's case would collapse. It was a setup. One officer stayed with us while the other went to speak to Ray. I listened closely. Officer, sir, you made the call? Ray, fake concerned, yeah. Heard a woman screaming. Sounded bad. Thought someone was getting hurt. A complete lie. While they talked, I told the officer with me everything. About Corey. The trial. Ray's harassment. Sierra backed me up. The officer's face changed as I explained. I remember the Corey case. We've responded to your address before, right? Yes. You were one of the first on scene the night he broke my wrist. He nodded. That explains a lot. His partner came back. We need a supervisor here. Within minutes, a sergeant arrived. They reviewed the situation, checked my paperwork for the trial, and talked with Sierra separately. Then they went back to Ray's door. Sir, step outside. Ray tried to play dumb. What's this about? False reporting. Interference with a legal proceeding. Come with us. Ray's face went pale. You can't be serious. I was trying to help. They cuffed him. As they walked him past my door, he snarled, You'll regret this. I didn't even blink. No, Ray. You just made the biggest mistake of your life. After Ray was hauled away, the sergeant assured me they'd have an officer patrol the building overnight. We'll also provide an escort to court tomorrow, he said. We're not taking any chances. Sierra squeezed my hand. See? You've got backup now. The next morning, 2 uniformed officers arrived at my door right at 8 a.m. They drove me to the courthouse. Corey was already there, trying to look confident in his cheap suit. His lawyer gave me a look like I was just another liar trying to ruin a man's life. They underestimated me. I testified clearly. Presented my evidence. My injuries. The voicemails. The threats. The judge listened closely. Corey's lawyer tried to discredit me, but it was useless. The prosecution laid it all out. And when the verdict was announced, guilty on all counts, Corey's face twisted into pure hatred. But he couldn't touch me anymore. Ray's arrest became public record within days. Small-town gossip did the rest. His older sister, a teacher at the local middle school, came to my door a few days later. She was shaking. I'm so sorry, she said. We didn't know he'd gotten this bad. We can't have him around the family anymore. He's brought shame on all of us. They cut him off completely. No family support. No more crashing on his brother's couch. His construction company let him go once they found out about the criminal charges. When he tried to apply for new apartments, landlords rejected him. The false report charge was a big, flashing red flag. Last I heard, Ray was living out of his old Dodge pickup behind a gas station on the outskirts of town. At first, I thought that would be the end of it. Ray arrested. Corey convicted. I figured I'd finally have peace. But Canton's a small town. People talk. And people choose sides. About a month after the trial, things started happening again. Small things. Someone keyed Sierra's car when she was parked outside my apartment. A dead squirrel was left on my front doorstep. Nasty notes slipped under my door, liar. Destroyer. Watch your back. At first, I thought maybe Corey had friends still trying to scare me. But he was locked up. And most of his low-life buddies were either avoiding me or pretending they didn't know him anymore. Then Sierra got a message on Facebook from a fake account, You ruined a good man's life. Ray doesn't deserve this. We'll make you pay. It didn't take a genius to figure it out. Ray's cousin, Brent, had a reputation. A real winner, multiple DUIs, bar fights, a restraining order from an ex. Brent had always hung around Ray's place before the arrest. Now he was picking up where Ray left off. I gathered up the notes. Took pictures of Sierra's car damage. Saved the threatening message. I went to the police station. The same sergeant from before, Sergeant Dillard, met with me. I was hoping I wouldn't see you back here for something like this, he sighed. I showed him everything. Dillard shook his head. Ray's family just keeps digging the hole deeper. He opened a folder. Good news is, Ray's court date for the false report is next week. If this harassment keeps up, the judge might see a pattern. We could add charges. Sierra wasn't the kind to sit around and wait for things to get worse. She set up a camera in my hallway. One that blended in with the fire alarm casing. It didn't take long. A week later, at 2 a.m., someone tried to pry my door open with a crowbar. The camera got a clear shot of Brent's face. When the police reviewed the footage, Dillard just said, "That's it. We're done playing games." They arrested Brent the same day. Possession of burglary tools. Attempted break-in. Harassment. I pressed charges immediately. At Ray's hearing for the false report charge, Brent's arrest came up. The judge wasn't amused. This isn't just a one-time mistake, Mr. Parker. This shows a continued effort by you and your family to intimidate and harass a witness. Ray's public defender tried to argue Brent was acting alone. But the judge didn't buy it. The prosecutor filed a motion to add conspiracy to intimidate a witness to raise charges. That's when Ray finally seemed to realize how bad things had gotten. He tried to withdraw his not guilty plea. Offered to confess if the conspiracy charge was dropped. The judge wasn't feeling generous. You had multiple chances to stop this behavior. Instead, you encouraged it. You involved others. You tried to manipulate the justice system itself. By the time the next month rolled around, Ray wasn't just disowned by his family, his entire social circle had cut him off. His former landlord, who had been somewhat sympathetic before, slapped him with an eviction lawsuit for unpaid back rent. Brent, meanwhile, was denied bail after the break-in attempt. His record didn't help his case. The two of them had become a cautionary tale in Canton. People I didn't even know started stopping me at the grocery store or gas station. "Hey, you're the woman who stood up to those guys, right?" Good for even with Ray and Brent facing serious time, there was one last problem. Corey. From inside prison, Corey was trying to pull strings. I found out through a friend who worked in the prison system that Corey had contacted another inmate, someone getting released soon. The plan was simple. Once out, the guy was supposed to scare me. "We've already notified the parole board," Sergeant Dillard told me when I brought it up. "We're working on stopping this before it goes anywhere. But you should stay alert." I was furious. Ray had tried to sabotage me. Failed. His family had tried to intimidate me. Failed. Now Corey was scraping the bottom of the barrel, trying to hire someone to do his dirty work from behind bars. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about making sure none of these people ever got another chance to harm me, or anyone else. Once I knew Corey was trying to hire someone to scare me, I refused to wait around. I met with Sergeant Dillard again. "If you don't mind," I said, "I want to wear a wire." Dillard raised an eyebrow. "That's risky. I want to finish this. I want to know who Corey contacted. If I can get proof, maybe we can shut this down for good." After some convincing, the department agreed. The parolee Corey contacted was named Jason Heller. Early 30s. Known for petty theft and intimidation jobs. He'd gotten out on a Friday. By Sunday, he was already asking around for my address. What Jason didn't know. His new friend was an undercover officer. I wore a wire and met with Jason at a public park. Sierra sat at a nearby bench with Duke, watching like a hawk. Jason leaned in. "I'm just here to give you a warning. Corey says to drop all this court stuff and keep quiet. Or else." I kept my voice calm. "Or else what?" Before he could answer, officers swarmed in. Jason was arrested on the spot. The recording was more than enough to charge Corey with solicitation of intimidation. 2 months later, Corey was back in court. His sentence was extended by 10 more years. Jason was sent back to prison before he could even unpack his duffel bag. Ray? He was convicted of filing a false police report, harassment, and conspiracy to intimidate a witness. He got 5 years. Brent? Convicted of attempted burglary and intimidation. 4 years. None of them saw it coming. Their plan had spiraled into something none of them could control. Ray's family publicly disowned him again. His sister wrote a letter to the local newspaper calling his actions a disgrace. Brent's ex, who had the restraining order against him, filed to keep him away from their son permanently. Jason's own mother testified against him. "I'm done bailing him out. Let him rot." Corey was transferred to a higher security prison where he'd have fewer chances to reach anyone on the outside. As for me? I had to face some hard truths. Sierra sat me down one evening and said, "You know this could have gone bad. Real bad. You took a risk going after them so directly." She was right. I'd gotten bold, maybe reckless. But I also knew something else: if I hadn't stood my ground every time, these men would have kept going. Maybe not just against me, but against other women too. Sometimes the only way to stop a predator is to put them in a cage. It's been a year now. I moved to a new complex on the other side of Canton. No one there knows my past. I work. I go to therapy. I see Sierra and Duke every weekend. Every so often, I get a letter from victims' advocacy groups asking me to speak at events. I haven't said yes yet. But maybe someday. As for Corey, Ray, Brent, and Jason? They'll have years to think about the mistakes they made. Funny how they all tried to shut me up, and in doing so, made sure everyone heard my story instead. Justice wasn't just served. It was delivered, escorted, and locked down tight.